So next up, let's try and draw Cosmos, and I really love drawing these ones. They're just like a nice shape to draw, and the petals are nice and flowy, and yeah, it's just a nice one. And this one's just drawn in one step more than the tulip beforehand. So this one is 7 steps, and let's start straight away with the same fine liner pen that you used to draw the outline of the first one. Again, leaving a smaller one spare for the last steps, which is the shading. Um, okay, so step one, we're going to create the forefront petal again, but this one's slightly more to the left, so we want to start a little bit more to the left here and leave enough space at the right hand side for the rest of the petals to flow from, and again enough space below for a stem as well. You still want more room at the top of this one than we did for the tulip, so around here is probably a good point to start. We're going to go in with the base of this petal, so I'm going to start with a little bit of a wavy line that has a bit of a dip in the centre, and then extend it out a little bit so it drops a little bit lower, and then arch it back up to the right here. And then from that left hand side, we're going to use that as an anchor point to kind of bring it up to the top, so curve it around, start to wave the pen a bit as you get towards the top, arch it off and round it back down, and then this side is going to be a little bit straighter, and then curve back around to meet that point there. And then we've got this nice shape to start with, where we can add our tapered lines in to really create the folds and the pleats in the petal. So this is a good starting point to create a long centre fold arched up to the middle there, a shorter one next to it, and another couple down here that are a bit shorter. And we can create a bit of a longer one again from that point, a shorter one here, maybe another couple over here that are a bit of different sizes. I'm going to draw some shorter ones from the top, arching back down to the same points as the ones we've just drawn from the bottom, and then one over this side as well down there. And that's step one done with the first petal, which is a really good starting point to base the rest of the shape of the flower from. And let's go straight into step two, which is to draw the first few petals down here, which is the front opening of the Cosmos flower. And I really love the name of it, it's so nice. Okay, so let's create a few scalloped lines that start from here. So 1 scallop, 2 scallop, 3 scallops. And then from here, we're going to kind of bring out a line like so, that's kind of short and swept. It doesn't have to be tapered, but I feel like that helps me sometimes create a nice flowing arched line. So from this point here, so we're going to round it off a bit, and then just have this one coming up a little bit to the right. It doesn't have to be the same length because we're going to add in the front of this petal here, with a bit of a wavy line, and then connect it up there like so, and then create the bottom lip for that as well. So you can see that's the front of the petal, and then it curls up into the top there. And then we're going to add in this little underneath part of the flower, which I guess is really the part hidden underneath, where the seeds will sit above, kind of connects everything together in the middle there. So we're just going to add this little subtle line in between there, and as always we're going to add in those tapered lines from the centre point of each of those scallops, and then a few shorter ones on the lip there. And that's step two, nice quick and easy one. And step three is where we're going to start to add in those seeds in the centre. So you kind of want to imagine that it's kind of bridging the gap between this point and this point here, in a kind of rounded dome-like way, which is where the cluster of seeds is going to sit. So we're going to start with a centre point here, and we kind of want it to be a bit flat because it is domed, it's not face on. So we want it to be a little bit flat. And all these seeds are going to be is kind of a dot like this with a bigger one circled around it. And we're kind of going to go around and add in a few like so, kind of keeping the base of each flat seed shape flat to the bottom and more curved on the top. So once we have those in place, we can kind of go around and connect them all up again with some flatter shapes towards the bottom. Kind of keep the base of those flat and dome them up towards the top and just really connect them to each other like so. I can go in and add some more, and these don't have to be perfectly sort of aligned or anything like that. It'll just be like a mass of like the little seedlings, which are kind of organic and sit differently anyway, so there's nothing uniform about these. Add in some more on the sides like so. Kind of connect them to the edge. Make sure nothing here overlaps those petals we've just drawn. Can add in another one up here. And anywhere where you can add in a gap, just kind of fill it in with what you imagine would be there. Just a little bit of a dome here, a little seed there. Looks like we could do with another one here. And now maybe down there. And anywhere where there's a little gap in between, just fill it in with a bit of black, just to help connect everything together. So then we've got a mass of seeds there, and we're just going to add a little few coming off from the top there, just to kind of help make it look a bit more three-dimensional. So we're just going to add just a random variation of seeds, and then just some quick, really fine little lines to connect it back down to the center, and that just helps to make it look more dimensional, like I say. And we don't want to do any round this way because of the point you're viewing it from. It wouldn't make so much sense for them to be visible straight on from that way. Okay, so now we've got the center point of the flower and a few petals. We're really going to start to base the rest of the shape around this area here. So step 4, we're going to go in and start to create the petals on the right hand side. So from this base point here, I'm going to create an arch line that flicks up at the end like so, and then not all the way from the start of this baseline, maybe from about this point, we're going to continue it up and then arch it back up to there to create a little flick up there. Add some little lines mostly from the bottom there, and then we can go in and connect that to the center. So we start from about here and kind of arch it up, and then it'll disappear behind that forefront petal there. Add in a few lines coming from under there, just to kind of really create the effect of it being more curved and folding out that way. And then another petal we're going to do from this point here. So we start about here and then curve that up like so. This one's a bit longer than this one, so we just want it to create a bit of length here. And then starting the other side from up there, flick it up more so this way, wave it down, flick it back towards the center. Create another little scallop here, and then another one there, and connect it all back down. Can add in some more lines there. Tidy this area up a little bit. The shading again at the end will help mask any little connection errors. Gonna add some more lines here like so from the center point, and now we're ready to add in another petal behind for step 5. So we're going to add a big petal up the top here, and I'm going to start this from here, seems like a good point, and I'm going to curve that around like so, creating a bit of a wavy line to a center point at the top, and then once we get there we curve it all the way back around and bring it back down to here. And go in and add those tapered lines, the longest one coming through the center, some more over this side, just really help round it off. You see this side kind of was following the curvature of the petal, the side of the petal that was closer. These ones follow this side a bit more. That helps round everything off. And we'll draw a few from the bottom as well, just a couple. And that's step 5. Now we're straight on to step 6. We're getting through this one pretty quick. And step 6 is to add in a petal in this gap here, which will really finish off the head of the flower. And then we're going to add in a stem down here as well. So start at this point up here, round up that petal there, dip it down a little bit, bring it back up to the top, bit of a wavy line, and then bring it back down to here. And add in our veins, a few from the top, from those scalloped lines, a few smaller ones, some more from here, and then a couple from the bottom as well, like so. And I'm just going to add one more tiny one in up there. And now we can go in with our stem. So to kind of get the reference point right for the stem, you kind of want to imagine that it's coming from the center of this point. So draw an imaginary line, don't draw a real one, over the top. So kind of float your pen. So now we know that this will be our starting point as we kind of imagined it behind here. So once you get your starting point, get your steady hand ready. Curve it round. And this one's a bit of a thinner one, so we just want to mimic that with another line over here. And then taper it a little bit. If at any point you feel your hand sticking, it's better to just release it. Put the pen down again, start again, and then connect it back up. So now we have our outline ready. You see it's a very pretty shape, isn't it? I love the petals on this one. And again with the same pen we're going to go in and add the darkest points for the last step. We're on step 7 now. Go in and add those reference points for the darkest areas. So this part under here will be quite dark. Anywhere that comes from behind another petal, this one down here, the area underneath this lip. So again, this step doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to go in with our magic 0.05 pen and really blend everything out quite nicely with that one. So I'm going to concentrate these darkest points on the areas coming from the centre stamen of the flower and really following the curve of each petal because these are such a nice shaped petal. We want to keep them flowy, feeling nice and flowy. Any areas like so that you really want to keep the definition of those seeds that are coming out, just start from above them and leave a bit of space. Because if we start to add the shading right behind them, then you're going to lose that detail. We want to keep that. So just start from a little bit above, but then you might have to sacrifice one or two on the edges just to help blend it all out. Maybe add some to the bottom over here. So, like I say, these original tapered lines that we add really do help act as a starting point of where to add these details. So as you can see, I'm kind of concentrating these areas of extra shading near to those, and then just adding a few extra touches as and when I feel it be necessary. So I'll just add a little bit darker there. Just feel like it helps to add the illusion of it really being folded in and pleated on the petals if you add these darker areas in next to those tapered lines. Add in a few up here. Maybe a little bit to the bottom of this lip here. Right, so we're going to go in with the 005 or any fine liner that you have that was smaller than that one. Or if you just have one, just do this step but be extra light with your brush strokes. Sorry, pen strokes. Yeah, just be a bit lighter with your hand just to really help create that finer detailed effect. And because this one is fine, you might be able to add a little bit from the bottom there to help blend it out. And still get to see those seeds coming through. So I'm just going to do the same thing again and just really extend some areas of that darker shading out and add a few lines to the sides just to help blend it all out. help create a less blocky feel. Add a few little parts to the center just to really help tie it all together. These areas that connect to the bottom are really going to be the darkest, so we want to create more shading in that center point and use this technique less sparingly on the outside of the flower petals, just in the areas where we want to create more folds in the areas. We're going to need a little few up here, I think, just on the right hand side of each. Extend a little bit up there, add a little bit at the center, extend these ones out here, and just tidy up the bottom of this one there, just to connect those lines together a little bit. It's feeling a bit blocky. And same here, I think we can tidy this up a bit. So kind of just blend it in to the edges there as well. I need a little bit more detail on this petal, I think, so I'm going to blend it all out. Add in a little bit here. And then tidy these areas up on the outside as well. I'm just going to add a little bit up here as well. You want to make sure if you do anything on the edge there that it is connected to the baseline, like the outline of what you're drawn, so the shading's not just floating. I think that might be enough shading for the petals. We can just go into the stem and kind of extend that area out a little bit and bring it down this right hand side a little bit, like so. And I'm just going to go in to these little seeded areas and just add a little bit of shading in between some of the seeds just to connect it all together a bit better. So it will be quite a dark area in the centre there. So it just helps connect it all together so it feels a bit less floaty. Don't want any gaps between any of those circles as well, so if there is any gaps in between, just add a bit of shading. You can just do a few dots as well to help bring it all together, make the shading feel a bit more organic. And there we have it. That's our cosmos in just 7 steps. Let's progress on to the next one if you fancy it.